You get a free report once a year from each of the agencies, and so ideally, you spread them out about 4 months so that you can kind of evaluate the whole year. If you find an error on a credit report, you may choose to go ahead and check the other two agencies right away. But in general, we recommend that you spread them throughout the year because identity theft and things that you need to correct don't happen just all at once or take a break throughout the year.
The average American checks their credit score, the number that reflects their state of creditworthiness based on information in their credit report, around 4 times a year. This number is typically used to determine if they're approved for loans, credit cards, or even renting an apartment. However, a survey conducted in 2020 found that only 33% of Americans had checked their credit report in the past year. That's down from 39% in 2019 and 37% in 2018. K-State Research and Extension has a program to help Kansans monitor their credit reports to make sure the information in their files is accurate. On today's Sound Living, checking your credit throughout the year. Sound Living is a weekly public affairs program produced by Research and Extension at Kansas State University. I'm Jeff Wichman. The Check Your Credit program sends reminders about every 4 months to prompt participants to check their credit report with one of the 3 credit reporting agencies, Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. In addition to the reminders, K-State Research and Extension Family Resource Management Agent for the Southwind District, Joy Miller, says the program includes an educational component to help participants better manage their finances. Joy, the Check Your Credit program has been around for a while for Extension, and as part of that, the effort is to make sure that people not only understand that they can get 3 reports a year from their different reporting agencies, but just really the importance of doing that.
Yes, it is important to request your credit reports 3 times a year, as you mentioned, and to double-check the information that is on those reports for accuracy.
Some people might be surprised that there are actually 3 credit reporting agencies, and that sometimes causes, I think, some confusion because I'm assuming that some people believe that, well, I did check my credit report, but if you only check it from one agency, you're really not checking your entire report.
That's right. We do have 3 agencies that provide information, and each report is a little different, even though commonly the same information is on there. But because one has an error, that doesn't mean that the others do have those errors. And if you're having your credit score pulled from your credit reports, and it just depends then on what agency they use to pull that. So one might reflect positive information, and another one might reflect something negative.
And that's what we're trying to catch is some of those negative things that are inaccurate.
That is correct. So often on your credit report, there will be just some basic information. So you'll have like personal information, any kind of public records, if there's what we call adverse accounts, so things that maybe haven't been paid on time or outstanding balances. And then it'll also reflect what we call satisfactory accounts, so those accounts that are in good standing. And then also any credit inquiries. So if you have been, looking or applying for loans, it'll tell you if somebody's been inquiring about your credit. So all that information is important to review to make sure it's accurate and truthful. And sometimes, especially those credit inquiries, if you have not been the one inquiring, that kind of is a red flag that maybe somebody else is trying to do something fraudulent on your information.
Yeah, this is really just another way to kind of protect our identity and protect our finances.
That is true. And so often people who aren't looking for doing a loan or trying to buy a new car or a home don't feel that they need to check their credit, but often they could be some of the bigger victims in it all because they're not inquiring. And so somebody could be using their accounts to open credit cards or taking out loans, and it reflects on them in the end when they do need to utilize it. So, yeah, checking your credit helps you help curtail any identity theft.
And if I remember really the basics of this program is to make sure that you're spreading out how and when you get those reports.
That is correct. You get a free report once a year from each of the agencies, and so ideally, you spread them out about 4 months so that you can kind of evaluate the whole year. If you find an error on a credit report, you may choose to go ahead and check the other two agencies right away. But yes, in general, we recommend that you spread them throughout the year because identity theft and things that you need to correct don't happen just all at once or take a break throughout the year.
What's the process then for actually getting your report?
So annualcreditreport.com is the only website that is truly a free place to get your credit report. You can request it from there online, or there is a way to write a letter to get it, or you can call a 1-800 number to receive that.
I know this is probably going to vary depending on someone's credit history and things like that, but in general, is this something that takes a long time to kind of look through and check for inaccuracies?
It depends on how long your credit history is and how many accounts you have on it. So if you have a lot of credit cards, it could take some time to go through that. I think mine credit report was only 2 or 3 pages, so it wasn't a huge amount of information to go through. Some credit reports will be easier to read and scan than others. So some you'll go through quickly, and others will take a little more time to evaluate.
If I understand what you're saying, then this is your entire credit history report. This is not just something that goes back 6 months or a year or a couple of years?
Yeah, there can be as long as 10, 15, 20 years on your credit report. So things will fall off. So let's talk about like an installment loan, like if you had a vehicle or a home mortgage. After you have paid that loan off, it will remain on your account for maybe 7 to 10 years, and then it will, quote, fall off. It will not be showing up after a certain point of time. So as things kind of time out, they will fall off your report or not show up on your report.
If you do happen to spot something that you think is incorrect, what's the process then for trying to get that corrected?
There is a way to dispute your errors, and often you will start with the company that disputed the error and ask them to change it or remove it from your report. So there's a form or a process that is in like annualcreditreport.com to do that. The other thing is even when you write that, if you have any proof, documents, letters, receipts, to help show that that information is incorrect, that is helpful too. And then you're going to mail that dispute to the credit reporting company and help process that information. So it could take some time to get that process taken care of.
So really then another reason to make sure that you're getting these frequently so that you can stay on top of this, because if you are, like you say, applying for a loan, this could have a real impact not only on whether you get the loan, but maybe the rate that you're charged for that loan.
Yes. So the credit reports are showing your history of paying back, how good of a borrower might you be. There's also looking at, how many accounts you have open, whether you use all that credit or not, but how much credit do you have available to you so that they can assess the risk of you as a borrower to them. So if you're looking or considering getting a loan 6 months prior to that, which seems like a long time, is especially a time to check your credit to make sure there isn't any errors that will stall your process of applying for that loan.
I'm kind of thinking about my sons who are, in their late 20s, early 30s, and I'm thinking that they probably are thinking, I don't need to check my credit report. But really, this is something that anybody who is paying electric bills, could be college students, really anybody, young adults, should also be checking their reports.
Yes, because a bad mark on your credit report will follow you for 7 years. So those who are in college, one of our first purchases, typically when we graduate or get our first job, is some sort of new vehicle or newer vehicle. And so that's typically the first thing that they will purchase, and having the best credit possible from there can help them with their interest rate loan.
Education is also a part of the Check Your Credit program?
Yes. Our first email will be to request your credit report and how to do that. And then the next weeks after joining the email campaign, they will receive 3 other educational pieces. One is just understanding your credit report. The second one is fixing errors in your credit report. And then the third one is just how to help maintain or build your credit.
Yeah, talking about utilizing your report to your advantage, was that kind of what we were touching on there, was making sure that you're getting a better rate, saying that, well, I've got really good credit, so I should get a better rate?
Yeah, so part of that rate, that interest rate, will be based on your credit utilization, payment rehistory, along with what is your current income going to be. So there's several factors that affect what kind of loan and how much they're going to loan you with that money. So making payments on time. So again, those college students coming out, when they have those student loans, making sure they're paid on time, making sure they're not using too much of their credit card balances. So usually using only half or less of what's available. So if you have a $1,000 limit on a credit card, making sure you don't go over $500, and then just types of credit. So while a credit card helps establish a credit history and a credit score easily, also installment loans. So again, those student loans or that car loan is a different type of credit utilization to all help build your credit history and your credit scores.
Really, this is just something that needs to be part of your financial history, isn't it? It's something that as you go through and you're making your budgets, this is something that you also need to make sure that you're checking on regularly.
Yes, you're right. It's just part of financial well-being. And when you sit down and, you look at, your budget, you're paying bills, or you're looking over your retirement accounts, or, sitting down with your financial planner. Yeah, so creating a routine of when you look at these things and making it part of your annual review, at least, to just look things over.
There's an opportunity to become involved with this, and really probably the best place to start is just to contact your local extension office and see if the program is being offered in that county.
Exactly. We're doing our Back to School Check Your Credit campaign for this fall. It'll officially begin with the first Request Your Credit report on October 10th. And if your county is offering it or a neighbor county, you will register for those. It will be by email, so you'll receive an email with the request reminder. So we do 1010, 22, and 66 to make that easy. And again, that first time you get a Request Your Credit reminder, you'll get 3 more emails each week with further education on that. So it's something to do in your own time, and when you have the time to review it, but to give you the tools to move through that.
Well, those reminders to me seem really important because I think we all know how time flies and we lose track of when we last did something. So that's got to be real helpful just to get that prompt.
Yes, and that first email will send you to request that. We also have a tracker because remembering which agency you pulled from can also kind of get lost. So we have a tracker on the handout so you can write down which agency you pulled from and what the dates were to help guide you through that too.
That's K-State Research and Extension Family Resource Management Agent for the Southwind District, Joy Miller, with information on the Check Your Credit program. Again, for more information, contact the local county or district extension office. Sound Living is a weekly public affairs program produced by Research and Extension at Kansas State University. I'm Jeff Wichman, and this is the K-State Radio Network.